Alright, anyone else missing who is speaking at the conference? If you're missing roles or you're missing permissions, you need to put it into the conference text chat. Otherwise, we're about to begin.
Is Isabel able to speak?
As an independent speaker, yes. But I'll cover that here in a moment.
Ugh.
Specterizes
Yeah, no, how
star next to his name when he's
Yeah.
not a speaker.
Spec isn't even a crew anymore. They shut down.
Well, there's no need to kill the man.
There's plenty of need.
Well, he's not in the Discord anymore, unfortunately. Thank you, Trip.
How unfortunate.
I can sense some salt will be going around this evening.
Salt goes around everywhere in this community, let's be honest.
Throwing salt at the whole
It's
community
coarse,
right now.
like sand,
Hmm.
and it
Alright,
gets
Counselor,
everywhere.
are you ready to
Calm down over there, Anakin Skywalker.
scream at people?
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough.
Alright, we're actually
Thanks,
gonna begin
everyone.
for real though. So, good afternoon and good evening. It is my honor to welcome you all to the 2019 SATO conference. It's been a while, but I don't want to take too much of the time with the introduction. We have work to attend to. I want to start off first by laying down some of the ground rules for the conference tonight. I need you all to listen carefully, as I'm sure it is our collective interest to get through things quickly. Number one, we'll be properly debating, and unlike other conferences, permission to speak will be strictly enforced. If you cannot hold your tongue when someone else is speaking during the time they have been allotted, one of my beautiful moderators will have to mute you. We, for the most part, will be going through the complete list of people that need to speak on pretty much every issue. So don't worry, you will get your opportunity. Otherwise, permission to speak, to take the floor will be requested in the conference text chat, located just above the voice chat. For anyone listening, your permission to speak is purposefully restricted. As you know, you're listeners. Many of you are itching to get started, so I'm going to lay down the foundation for what SATO is going forward. We have the opportunity to debate these things that I will speak about later. So, first off, the entities of SATO. We have staff, which are people who help manage and organize SATO, members, which are the crews that are part of SATO, the Security Council, which are made up of diplomats from those member crews, and they vote on issues inside of SATO, and then peacekeepers, which are, in a way, very controversial volunteer force, and they're screened to carry out actions on SATO's behalf in GTA. The responsibilities. SATO's main responsibility is to standardize the ELS conventions, to make sure that it's being updated over time to accommodate the changing state of the game. Media, to broadcast SATO to the rest of the community. And community building, to create a hub for crews to war and prosper under SATO guidelines. Now for the enforcement. One of the main responsibilities of crews in SATO is to self-regulate. It's to ensure that crews are spreading the ideologies of the conventions openly to their members and to other crews they interact with. Whether it's in Discord, making sure that the ELS conventions gets its own chat in your Discord, integrated in the onboarding of your members, and made sure that it's in as a part of the crew rules. Instagram, that social media such as Instagram tags SATO to kind of spread that image that you are a part of this organization. It's nothing to be ashamed of, obviously, so we need to spread it around. The SATO Xbox Club. Knowledge of this club, conditions of its use, and the open spread of information, specifically evidence against other members in a respectful and professional environment. That's a part of self-regulation. Now, externally, we have the peacekeepers, It's going to be the reconnaissance of battles, recorders and collectors of evidence against the conventions. They're meant to be unbiased and completely volunteer, and they can prefer provision in a combative capacity based on specific circumstances, but only in self-defense. Sanctions: correcting bad actors and shutting repeat offenders out of the community. 2/3 vote by Security Council meeting. The Security Council is made up of all active signatories. With that out of the way, we're going to get started on our first debate or issue on the agenda, the Charon v. Bolivar War. Both Charon and Bolivar are leveraging charges of war crimes against the other, and I'll give each representative the floor for 90 seconds to explain their case. After 90 seconds, I will motion the end of speaking, and if my request is not complied with, I will again be forced to have one of my beautiful moderators mute you. Keep it professional, and give me a moment. I'm going to be getting my trusty stopwatch, and we will begin here in a moment.
So you want me to present all evidence, including them using God mode, in 90 seconds?
Present your case for why they deserve to be punished.
Okay.
More accurately.
So, for example, their constant breaking
Okay,
of the...
your time is not started. Please give me a moment. The conference text chat may be used to produce evidence. That does not have to be submitted within the 90 seconds. But like essentially your case for, either your ideas for the war, things that have happened, you're going to be explaining that to people here who are unfamiliar with the circumstances. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So your time begins now.
Okay. Well, we've already provided, if you guys can go ahead and take a look at the conference text chat, we've provided proof. I'm on slow mode, so I can't provide all my proof very quickly. We have sufficient proof that Bolivar members have been using God mode to get stabs in game on 2 separate occasions. This member was asked and requested to be kicked out. They refused. He has since done it again. We request that this type of tactics be removed, and as well as Bolivar be removed from Sado for using these on repeated offenses. They were warned, and it was brought to Sado. Sado, to my knowledge, you guys did absolutely nothing about this. You told me to wait till the LS conventions to do anything about these actions. Since then, they have repeated to use God mode over and over, and there still has been no action, so we are requesting that they be removed from Sado, all of Bolivar. We also have evidence that was sent to you, which I believe Isabel can post, that they were using the orbital cannon, despite them frequently stating they do not.
10 seconds.
We can go ahead and provide that proof. Again, it's going to take a minute to collect it. But that proof can be provided. I will post it shortly. There's sufficient proof of them breaking rules. They are going around acting as if they don't break rules. However, they clearly have on repeat offenses. Let me see if I can post this up. I believe that Bolivar needs to be removed after the repeat offenses. I also can't... Can you make it so I could post images inside of this chat, please? Not just links?
Yep, and your time is up, but I will do that.
Again, there's also significant, many other crews that are calling them out for this exact same behavior. I do believe they need to be removed. Oh, now I can attach the file. It says the file is too powerful. I'll try to submit images instead. Let's see.
Do we have a representative of Might or Bolivar here with us today?
It would appear no.
I see Pancake Man is in the Discord, but I cannot validate him as a proper representative as he joined the Discord 20 minutes ago. With that being said, I'm going to give Bolivar 1 minute to unvacate their seat, and if they fail to do so, then we will move on and continue.
Again, these people do need to be removed. It's just a joke. They flaunt that they actively
I
follow the
understand
rules.
that you are very passionate about this, but please do not speak out of turn.
Zero, they're not
Thank you.
here. Who am I speaking out of turn against?
Against the conference, you do not have the floor. The floor will be provided to you when it is needed, okay?
They're not here. I'm not interrupting them.
Do I care? All right, in the absence of Bolivar to defend their case, we're going to continue with this. The next step is we're going to essentially bring it to the Security Council for a vote on resolutions. Resolutions are Sato-sponsored actions that will be taken against participants inside of the resolution. In this case, it'd be Charon/Bolivar. Our policy is first to seek to correct but isolate if ineffective. There are a couple more stages for this. First, we will let diplomats give their opinion on their perspective of the situation, who's right and who's wrong, and that would be round one. So we're going to go down the list. Impulsive, do you have anything to say?
I believe his mic's still muted.
Impulsive, you need to unmute yourself. I'm gonna move him to
Hold
a
on.
different chat
I
and move him
apologize.
back.
It appears that Impulsive's actually a member of Charon.
Can you guys hear me?
Wait, maybe not. I don't know. Or he was.
Oh, we can hear you now.
My
Right,
bad.
so all I heard was about the discussion of Boulevard. So,
Yep,
like,
Bolivar and Charon.
I personally do think that Boulevard should be removed from Sato, as they've shown a lot of lack of judgment against milsim rule, including where they say they are Sato affiliated, where they use orbs and glitches, so they have an advantage against other crews.
All right. Thank you for your perspective. We'll be moving to AFUS Tango.
Okay, thanks.
Zero, I need diplomat rule, please.
I think you can speak. So,
Yeah, I agree with Impulsive. I think that Bolivar should be removed.
all right. And then
I agree too.
Maelstrom.
Alice. Mike's on mute.
Atlas said, I agree, get rid of him in the general chat.
Thank
Hey,
you, gentlemen.
FCNF.
All right. David.
Well, just to kind of come on what Khaled said,
I've also previously had problems with Bolivar and whatnot. Pretty much, they have zero respect for the rules. They will break everything in the fucking rule. The only person that won't is Wild Rider, but he won't take any action against his members. I've been booted off by him and his associates. Yet no action was taken against him because of some complications or whatnot. But pretty much, if you have no idea what's happening, just take my word for it. This guy just doesn't give a fuck about any of the rules. And what he'll do is he'll just squiggle his way out of it every single time. And this is the one time they're actually able to go ahead and clamp down on them. So don't waste this opportunity. Make the community a little bit better. And actually make sure that this little rat doesn't get a fucking away with this, alright? That's all I have to say.
Damn it. Got rid of my message.
Yikes.
Alright. FRM War. Do you have anything to say, FRM?
Who?
FRM War.
Sorry
Oh.
about that. I really have no. I would like to pass my. I like to pass. I really haven't looked into it much. I did see it, but I really have no saying into this because I haven't looked into it much. I really have no relation with Boulevard almost at all. So.
Alright. Equalize.
I've got nothing.
Alright, and then Meme Lord.
I think that they should be removed if you've been shown plenty of proof. I have proof myself of them using them soft bodying and orbing, and you've been. I think that Sato's been shown enough proof to the point where Bolivar should be removed over the past couple months. That's all I got.
Alright. With that out of the way, with round 1 out of the way, we'll begin round 2, which is essentially what the leaders believe the resolutions should be. So whether that's removal, sanctioning, deployment of peacekeepers, etc. Our goal should always be to save a crew if they're willing to fully comply with Sato and the conventions, which is reinforced by the idea that a crew under Sato rules is better than one that's not. We have to strike a balance between justice and fairness, because at the end of the day, you'd want the same tolerance for your crew, whatever the situation may be. So essentially, this is where you get to bring up what exactly you think should be done. I know that in this particular circumstance, a lot of you guys want to have Boulevard removed. And if that's what the vote ends up being, then that's what ends up being. But as for resolution, there's always more options. So I just want to remind you guys of that.
Zero,
So
if I may
we'll get
state,
started.
they've been given enough chances.
You've been given a chance to speak. All right.
Shit.
Let it go down. Let everyone give their opinion. Right now, we're just gonna go with the next round. So we're gonna go back down the list, starting with Tango. What do you believe should be done?
Well, I've fought Boulevard before ages ago when they first started up, and they were the same then. I think they're beyond saving at this point. I think they should be removed.
Okay. Atlas.
Still AFK, I believe.
All right. I'm just gonna quicken things up. Does anyone have a belief other than removal of Boulevard? Feel free to speak.
Absolute removal.
Could you repeat that? I couldn't hear you.
Does anyone have an opinion other than removing Boulevard?
What?
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right. So now we're gonna bring it to round 3, which is our formal vote on a resolution. With that resolution of removing Boulevard, vote. It's going to be reactions to a message posted in the conference text channel. Diplomats should be the only ones with permissions to react, so let me put the message up here in a moment.
Can you please make the emoji like a boot? Or maybe like GTFO.
Zero.
Who is this speaking?
Fire Knight.
It looks like you have permission to speak enabled. What do you need?
I need a diplomat role if I don't already have it.
Give me just a moment.
Thank you.
Done.
Thank you.
All right, sorry. Just double checking the permissions. It'll be just another moment. Thank you.
You're good.
Vote now. You have 60 seconds.
Damn.
All right. Upon unanimous resolution, Boulevard has been removed from the San Andreas Treaty Organization.
21-1. Ouch.
Oh
yeah,
let it be
that deserves a
known
round of applause.
that some of those reactions were from members, so obviously the vote was not impeccable, but it didn't matter because no one voted against it.
Literally not a single person.
Okay, we're going to move on to the next resolution. Let me double check here. The resolution was DDPM versus CSFM, I believe.
Hello?
Hello?
I think his mic cut out.
He's dead.
Oh, it did. Sorry, my finger
dead.
slipped off the button.
Zero, just getting shot out here.
A drive-by.
So, as I was saying, you guys can hear me clearly?
10-4.
Yep.
All right. So our next resolution is going to be DDPM versus CSFM. DDPM, you can begin with your argument, and your time starts now.
All right, so just gonna make this quick and simple for you guys. So imagine you're fighting a crew, right? And the first kill they get on use an orb, it's pretty fun, and then the second kill they get on use an orb, and then the third and the fourth. You can kind of get what I'm trying to say here. Pretty much, these guys would use every single dirty thing out of the playbook. They're worse than Bolivar, I would actually put into measure and say that there was a 22-0 vote. Like you guys bear that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and start providing evidence here. These guys will use God mode jets, so you literally cannot kill them. If you look at this thing, I hit this guy about an ungodly amount of times, and this he just doesn't die. Because he's in God mode. It's like, if you can't kill someone, that is the lowest of the low. Game just really. So pretty much, it's quite impossible. You can hold them, you can stab them, whatever, but you cannot actually kill them. So what can you really do in this scenario, right? That is the lowest of the low. There is multiple pieces of evidence. There's 3 right there. I had to go back and show
20 seconds.
These guys would spam my DMs and group chat, which is ridiculous, the amount of stuff they put in it. They'll spam RPGs, they will orb you, they will do all this garbage. I would like to go into more detail, but I'm running out of time. So just look at the videos, you see the proof, you know what to do, and make sure that we sanction or get these guys out of the community because they have no intention, sign say so. They joined just to piss us off. Alright? That's all.
Thank you for your explanation. So we're gonna go through the same process, and I'd like to remind you that that our first instinct as an organization should be to try to correct crews if it's possible. Obviously, with a crew like Bolivar, we had intervened a few times before, and progress perceptually was not being made. With a crew like CSFM, it depends on your guys' perception on whether or not they're worth saving. Because at the end of the day, if we kick crews out of Sato, if we just kick everyone out of Sato, then we'll have a bunch of crews in the community that don't follow the rules and they don't care about them. Even if a crew is a part of Sato and they might not follow the rules, the perception that they need to be as a part of the organization, it's kind of like a axe above their head, you know. They have to keep thinking about it. So with that being said, we're going to begin with kind of
Mans is dead again.
we're going to go through each person one by one and see their perspective on the issue. So we will begin with Tango.
Well, I mean, by this is clear evidence that they're cheating. If they wanted to be in this community seriously, they wouldn't have even started that, and they would, if they did start losing, they would just take the loss instead of using God mode. This is completely against the rules, and yeah, nice comment.
All right, and then Cutter.
I mean, the evidence is pretty cut, clear, and dry. I mean, I've watched the video 2 or 3 times now. I mean, the evidence would suggest, yes, they are using God mode. I mean, it's pretty obvious to say that they are. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, it's there. It's pretty clear. What action should be taken is to be discussed, I suppose.
All right. FRM. War.
Are you asking me to defend my crew, or are you asking my opinion? Kind of just down the line for a vote.
You can. I was not aware that it was your crew. If it is your crew, then I'll give you 90 seconds to defend yourself. Is it your crew?
Yes, it is. I don't know why he said
Okay.
CSFM. So as you guys can clearly see, where the hunter is flying over the airstrip, as you can see, he is in a laser, or not a laser, a Hydra. the Hydra can take a couple hits from a rocket and still be disabled. As you can see, as he flies away from the Hydra, it appears to be on fire. So,
I mean, no, it looks the Hydra looks completely untouched.
Because that's just completely false. Like,
All right,
I mean,
order.
it's not just that video; it's multiple videos, so can't really.
Let me provide this input from an unbiased perspective. I have no.
I mean, yeah. What is your explanation for the other videos? Because I don't know a single Hydra that can take 7 rockets.
If it was just one, maybe, but it's like multiple videos.
yeah, and there's a barrage afterwards that hits it pretty well, and multiple missiles. So unless you're suggesting
It's either I'm blind or I can't see no smoke.
I mean, I'd agree with
Give him an opportunity to finish.
well,
Give him
okay,
an opportunity.
So right above the one that I was talking about, it kind of cuts out, so you really can't tell if it's on fire or not. Where he's shooting down the Hydra above the ocean.
I mean, it doesn't matter. The Hydra would blow up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about the other
I fully
videos?
disagree with that. The Hydra can take a amount of rockets before it gets shot down, specifically rockets.
Have you played this game?
Whoa, what do you have to say about the other videos, not just the Hydra video?
Yeah, no, there's ones of you
I really don't have anything against the one where you're shooting it with an Avenger.
All right. Let me bring this up, because from my perspective, as a subject matter expert, I can say that it is pretty undeniably God mode. Now, obviously, weird things happen, netcode's weird, all that stuff, but it's obvious that God mode has been abused by certain members in your crew, and whether or not you want to take responsibility for that's really going to decide your crew's outcome here, because I think these leaders, they don't want to see you just kicked out.
Yes, thank you. I will take action to that, and I'll look into it a little bit more.
Disregard. Okay, we're gonna need first of all some evidence.
Hold on. A lot of people here, they want to see your crew just take responsibility, and then start playing fairly. Because if you go on trying to do this in a way that you're just going to deflect all criticism, and if you don't believe that one of your members could do this, then you're, naive, to say the least. Because I know one of my members could do something like that, and that'd be terrible. But I'm not gonna sit here. If one of my members were to do that, I wouldn't sit here and say, "Oh, it's not God mode." No. So besides that, we're gonna move on to the rest of what everyone else has to say, because I know I'm kind of speaking out of turn, but that's my perspective.
I understand that.
And I guess also I am speaking on the UAFC's. I'm speaking on the UAFC's behalf, so there's that as well. But we'll
you
go
aren't.
down. Continue. Chairman?
So did this actions all take place against the same person?
It seems it was all in one engagement, but
this wasn't one engagement. However, actually, if you look at the clips,
I was gonna ask.
There's 2 different occasions when this happens.
I'm saying the person. Is it the same? Is it FRM Samurai and all?
It's been FRM Samurai, I believe FRM Midway, and 2 others. Although I would have to check the clips to be sure, because I want to show.
In the clips I see in all 3 clips, it appears to be FRM Samurai.
Yeah, that's just because it's the one case there. However, Sober Eyes, I believe, has some clips.
Yeah.
We will be sending those later on.
Can I give my little 2 cents real quick? I just wanted to say I fought FRM a lot of times, because I'm active a lot on Xbox, and there's been a time where all of the jets in the sky have been. I know this because we take turns to see if they're in God mode, and none of them die. I'm providing.
Of him. So there are at least around 5 that we can give credit to. So it means that this isn't just an isolated event. This has to be something from the higher ups, because you don't have just suddenly what is essentially could be an entire squad of your soldiers just going out and saying, "Hey, let's all use God mode on separate occasions multiple times." It just doesn't work like that, right? It has to come from some
I will say that it is possible for cliques to develop within crews. Like I think Cutter even had an issue where some of his members kind of developed a circle, and he couldn't kick them out because there's 200 social clubs and none of them have their gamer tags available. So
Don't
it's
speak
kind
on
of
my behalf. I have very good understanding and control of my men.
I'm sorry. Okay, but to speak more seriously, FRM War Daddy, if this is what is levied against you, are you going to take responsibility for it, or do you really believe that this is not happening?
I believe this is not happening. We haven't used God mode since the war of, those of you know, the war of us versus SOG. I will admit we have used it in the past, but we took action against that. We realized it wasn't worth it.
Would you agree that if you've done something like this before, that it would be very hard to give you credibility now?
Honestly, I'm coming straight from my perspective. I have never seen anybody go into God mode for about a year now, and a year ago we were fighting SOG. So
There's more evidence being posted now, I believe.
And first off, Ephraim Samurai,
1 second.
she is a very new player to GTA, so I don't see how she would even get to a God mode jet. She doesn't even own a jet of any sort, so.
Are you suggesting that?
Been given it through a Pegasus vehicle.
She obviously owns a jet if she spawned in it.
This isn't one.
It was a black Hydra. It wasn't
just
just a grey Hydra.
That's how you could tell if it has custom color on it, because then you can edit it through a hanger.
It was a
If
black
doesn't,
Hydra.
then, if it's a black Hydra, then yeah, she owns. It's either someone else's jet or hers, because that can only be modified through a hanger.
You have to make a decision for yourself for war, whether or not you're willing to let your crew suffer for the actions of some of your men, or whether you're going to let those men suffer for the actions of your crew. At the end of the day, if you're going to refuse to take responsibility for it because you don't believe it's possible for them to do it, then you place too much trust. In my opinion, you're placing too much trust in your men, and you're jeopardizing your crew standing in the community. Because the last thing you want to be looked at is a God mode crew. That's the last thing you want to be in this community. I promise you.
I do really object, but I will look into it more because this is actually the first time I've ever heard of it.
We have come to you with this evidence.
Well, David, to be fair, you were saying this was CSFM for the longest time, and it was just now addressed that it was FRM.
However, they are allied, and I believe CSFM started the orbing when we hadn't even fired a shot. They just came in and orbed us multiple times, and I believe through the stabbing clip, they are using the soft body about 4 times in a row, which was quite funny. But so either way, they're interlinked heavily. They joined at the same times. They invited it. They're close allies, whatever. They are pretty much responsible for each other's actions. I would believe, however, if not, then one person should be responsible for their own actions. But also, associations should be in place here as well.
To clarify something, we have never invited our allies. They have joined on their own will. We have never invited them.
We were in a meeting.
Regardless, it has happened, and we can't change what has happened.
You can take action towards the future, however.
Yes.
This was 2 days ago, bear in mind. I just want everyone to remind themselves of that. This was 2 days ago and yesterday, and it's happened multiple times.
Well, shit.
And I mean, the same people that are capable of inviting me and David to a group chat and spamming us with 200 messages practically saying you're gay or DDPM's ass, they're not going to change because we expose them on Insight to a server that they only join to come at DD. You know what I mean?
Well, trash talk doesn't exactly prove guilt. I will sit here and call Bolivor a shit pile all day.
As a subject matter expert on the SATA rules, you're not supposed to be using the server to bridge the gap in shit talk. It's supposed to be a professional hub, and even though it's in the past, and I'm willing to look past it, FRM, we're gonna get started on the resolutions, because at the end of the day, this needs a resolution. So the Security Council is gonna bring up a vote, and regardless of how you feel, about it, it's gonna be of your own making.
Understandable.
So we're gonna go down the list of
Might I ask one more
people.
question? FRM,
Did we
how
miss?
long have you been in Sato?
We were kicked out because I believe it was almost a year ago, because we're in a coalition with SCAR, GOW, and I believe TBSC. I believe Minutemen has kicked FRM out because of that reason.
Why would he
But
kick you out for being in a coalition?
That coalition was part of the reason you were kicked out. It was mainly because of that coalition's belligerence and absolute failure to follow the rules, which FRM was a part of at one point.
Yeah, we'll admit that we were a part of the FDF coalition because we needed help from a war, but that still doesn't really...
I don't blame you for getting kicked out for belligerence. I almost get kicked out for that rule every day.
Yeah, it's not that. It's just like they were on oppressors constantly with SCAR and GOW. But like I said, that's in the past, and crews can change, hopefully.
I mean, I have joined Reback Sato to sign again. It's just that we were dealing with DDPM and they got across. I don't have proof of it, but my saying is they got across it first.
We're gonna go down the list, starting with Tango. Or unless we missed anyone who had anything to say about the current situation and what their opinion on it, we're gonna move to the opinion of what needs to be done to FRM to essentially alleviate it and/or correct. So Tango, you begin. Thank you.
I'm gonna pass my vote. I'm a bit baffled on this one, to be honest.
All right. Carter,
Um,
what should happen?
I mean,
reminder, I should say reminder, there is going to be the peacekeepers, which I'll explain a little bit later, who can watch battles and make sure that people are playing by the rules. There's also like community sanctions, things like that. So it's not just about whether or not a crew gets kicked out.
well,
just
if we're gonna have peacekeepers, then perhaps they should be involved in every fight in the community. I mean, that would prevent a lot of these issues from taking place. Scheduled battles would be pretty good. I mean,
I second that.
And that's a part of what can be done during a resolution, Cutter. If you believe that should be done, then you can put that up as for your idea of what needs to be done for FRM.
then I think that all future battles involving them should have peacekeepers involved. If they continue to do battles without peacekeepers there, then perhaps some further action should take place. But for the meantime, I suppose, sending in peacekeepers. And might I ask, before I agree on this whole peacekeeper bullshit, who's going to be selecting peacekeepers? Because that could leave some room for some bias.
Yeah, so peacekeeping, as the program stands right now, I think Minuteman is going to be the official source on this, but the UAFC, as a frame crew, we can provide peacekeepers for auto aim, and
Okay, so,
I think vice versa can
correct
happen.
me if I'm wrong, Minuteman, who's the current leader of FCNF?
Sovereign.
Okay. But you are a member of FCNF?
I'm a member of the UAFC, correct.
Okay, I'm sorry, has FCNF changed their name to UAFC?
No, it's just FCNF and SCDF jointly together form the UAFC.
Okay, but you're FCNF.
I'm technically SCDF, but yes.
Then why are you... Okay, regardless. Will there be some bias if your crews get involved in the war?
If our crew gets into a war, we would honestly probably have a different crew provide peacekeepers. I would not like to have my crew.
But to my knowledge, every single higher up of the, Sato is either FCDF or FCNF.
Because we haven't exactly picked representatives. All of the people currently in positions, except for myself and Zero, are in act. I needed an attorney general and I needed a secretary of development. And considering Sapphire is my flag officer and I have a close relationship with Blitz, I picked them for the time being. But their positions aren't permanent.
But it would be assumed that you would pick people that are close to you or your faction.
I would pick people who are qualified for the job. I've done it in the past. I've had a pretty diverse cabinet. You were a part of it at one point. MFO was, who we, as in the UAFC, deeply hated.
Uh-oh. That's a no.
I will bring this up. So, for each mission, so I should say this, peacekeeping missions will be started on a per session basis. So let's assume that we do deploy peacekeepers. So we will allow every crew in Sato to donate peacekeepers to the cause, and these people that are being donated, they have to go through two filters. Number one, their crew that the peacekeepers are being donated from cannot be related to the crew that's essentially being intervened with. So the peacekeepers cannot come from an ally or an enemy. As well, the peacekeepers have to be screened, so they'll have to go through essentially a course, a very short course that explains all the rules, all the little things that they have to do.
Who will be running that?
That will be run by Sato staff. So whoever we have staff at that time will be running that course.
Sorry to interrupt, but I believe Imperial will start on something of that sort. UMA Peacekeepers. He invited me to it. Or do you not know about that?
I'm not aware of the UMA programs, but I know that the Sato program will do its best to remain unbiased, and it will be biased towards the rules. I think that's an important distinction. You know, bias is fine as long as it's towards Sato. If the bias is towards, like, hey, why is your crew not following these rules?
I don't think you should go around saying that. Bias is fine as long as it's towards Sato. I don't think that's.
Yeah, I also feel like we're getting off task from what we're supposed to be talking about.
Yeah, we do have a war criminal.
Yeah, the reason why this is a discussion is if we're going to decide an action, and if that action is
it'll be
going
up to the leaders. It's completely volunteer from the leaders,
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
and
So
so-
FRM has to agree to allow peacekeepers.
Well, no
and
shit. Yeah, they can just kill them.
Yeah. And then the crews that are donating peacekeepers, you will be able to decide on a case by case basis. Peacekeepers to be a part of it. And the questions about bias, I think, are just an excuse to not have them to begin with. I don't think there's a real fear of bias when the only things they're doing are literally recording evidence, and it will be a diverse selection from many different.
He's dead again.
Well, I stopped talking, but I intend to continue. So, Cutter, is that your idea at the moment?
Well,
So
yeah,
we can continue?
I think having if this peacekeeper idea is going to work, then I think that this would be a good opportunity to send them in, see if if FRM continues to break rules, then yeah, they need to be removed. But
this is assuming that they aren't outright removed. Bear in mind.
that is assuming, but that's my opinion, my 2 cents.
All right, so going down, equalize.
What do you want me to say?
Nice.
Your opinion on FRM and DDP?
DDPM have submitted a lot of evidence. FRM basically zero. War has basically said nothing on the subject. I think the peacekeeper idea is decent, but at this point, I think it needs to be removable because there's blatant evidence that's being submitted, and war is like it's not God mode when it clearly is.
Okay, so if you vote on resolution, it would be removal.
Yeah.
All right. Fire Knight. What is your opinion on the resolution that should be implemented?
Oh, but sorry, I wasn't paying attention. What was the resolution?
I'm asking you, what is the resolution you want to have implemented? And dude, you should not be playing GTA if you're here.
Yeah, I know. I was just waiting for my turn to speak, and now here it is. Okay. So, I think that honestly, it just should be mutually decided both ways that it should just be cut. Like, the situation should be happening. They need to get their shit on a lock and just agree and take the blame for it. Really.
What?
Okay. And
What does that
then I think he said something about correct me if I'm wrong, Fire Knight, you want them to just take responsibility and move on?
Yes. And then just appropriately deal with punishment, or just to make sure it doesn't happen again in the future within their own.
Alright, and then USSF.
I believe that when proof has been shown, you should at least admit it. And he's, from what my understanding from what he said, is that he doesn't believe that. I mean, he's not taking responsibility of what his members did, so I believe that he should be removed. I think that there was enough proof shown to the point where removal should happen.
Alright, and then before we go to the final resolutions, I'm going to let Chairman Minuteman speak on this issue.
All right, so this is on behalf of the UAFC because I am a technical representative. Personally, we feel that there should be a deployment of peacekeepers in the conflict to monitor the battle. I don't think that FRM should be removed because in our engagements against FRM, they did fight fair. And while this might have been some time ago, I believe that it shows the potential that they can go back to this ability to fight fair and the ability to play like that. I believe that they should, however, face the punishments. So whether that be sanctions or something else that the Security Council decides.
What do you mean
And then
sanctions?
on behalf of CSFM, they aren't here today, which makes our job really challenging. So I personally don't think any action should be taken against them until they have a ability to speak on their own.
And sanctions would be peacekeepers, community, essentially limitations, restrictions on their movement, like, you know, scheduled battles as you were talking about, peacekeeper only, things like that. Those are examples of sanctions.
Then I agree with sanctions.
Because sanctions is essentially the corrective step before removal. Because at the end of the day, you know, if a crew has not been intervened with by Sato, then Sato has an obligation to give them that chance to fix their ways before they get, you know, removed. But we'll let David Mason from DDPM speak for 30 seconds, and FRM, you'll also be allowed the opportunity to speak for 30 seconds. So David, your time starts now.
All right, I'll just make it quick. So these guys were shown in God mode. This is an undeniable fact. If you look at the evidence, it all speaks for itself. Even though this evidence was shown, he denied it. And he kept denying it, and he still wouldn't take responsibility for the multiple people that have used God mode in his crew. That's ignoring all the softballing RPGs, you know, Mark IIs and whatnot. These guys joined 2 days ago. They were banned for being war criminals by Sato in the past. And in 2 days, they've already done this again. There is no reprimand for these guys. They joined just to start this massive thing, and as I'm quoting him, just to get clout. So these guys, they're joining. They have no actual regard for the rules. They haven't even read it. They're not signatories. They've been banned in the past for being signatories, so that means they technically shouldn't be here. But just do bear in mind that these guys have no regard for the rules, and that's why they should be removed as opposed to some sanctions that are just not going to listen to. That's all.
All right, and then FRM, you get 1 minute.
All right. So first off, I still don't believe that we went to God mode, as you can hear. In the past, we were milsim. But like I said, I will look into it a little bit more, because that is decent proof of God mode. I mean, it is, but like, I will look in the video a bit more because I do see fire in the back of that still. That's my opinion.
Let me remind you.
There's
not
another
to
piece of
interrupt
evidence.
You, but let me remind you that fire effects
FRM
can
down.
land and stick to vehicles from explosives.
All right. Well, like,
you know, this is your last chance, dude. I'm just telling you, man.
Yeah.
You don't want to know what happens after this.
So.
There's.
So. Go ahead.
Sorry, there's more proof that's been posted.
Alright, I'll bring that too.
But yeah, I think you should look at that as well.
do bear in mind that this is in addition to all the other evidence presented, so there is still dozens of pieces of evidence above.
I can understand that could be lag, but I still see where you're getting from. I will take action against that. Look into a bit more. Other thing is, we are looking to follow Seder rules because we were born as a milsim. It kind of just didn't turn out that way in the end because of our past of attacks from people that really weren't necessarily milsim. I wouldn't have joined Sato back. I wouldn't have almost begged for an invite back just to fuck up the rules again. I mean, it's not my intentions.
Are you denying that your crew's using God mode?
That's what you've been doing.
Yes, I've been denying it, but like I said, I'll look into it more because you do have proof.
What is there to look into?
You
There's
shouldn't
blatant
deny it if you
clips
don't
that the
even know
post.
Okay,
yes.
order.
I gotta be honest with you, dude.
You shouldn't deny it if you don't even know the ends.
There's nothing to look into. There's clips that take like 3 seconds to watch.
I understand that, but there is like the Avenger thing that could be lag. I'm trying to defend my own crew here.
Hang on.
My dude, come on.
Fuck it out.
Go to the part 3.
Don't do what Wild Rider
and
did.
go to 12 seconds.
I'm beginning to mute people. War Daddy should
Oh.
have the ability to speak without being impeded.
That's not me. Okay. I'm good.
Alright, like as I was saying, I will look into it. Another thing is I joined Sato for a reason, like I've said before. Another thing is, with the clout thing, yes, I'm looking to be a crew. I'm looking to be at least a dominant crew. I'm not looking to be in the #1 spot. I'm looking to be at least dominant in the community. So obviously, who wouldn't take that at all? I mean, it's an easy crew to attack, and there you go. I am getting proof of them orbiting us first after the meeting that we were supposed to be having before we got rudely kicked out because of, well, it was just retarded. They made us wait almost an hour to join and then to talk almost 30 minutes. Not even, it was like 20 minutes just for a normal talk. Really kicked it out. Loss of temper, which caused a war. And in the end, we've got orbed Presser Mark II. I believe our ally, CSFM, told they used passive mode in the jet. I don't have proof of that yet, at least. But a war kicked off. Presses were used because they were used on us first. Orbs were shot, not many by us, but as some of them started to hide in their facilities a lot, getting into Avengers. I believe a Ruiner was used. It might have been after the war with Tryhards joining. I'm not sure if they invited them or not. But after that, most of the members left. I believe David Mason stayed in his facility for the remainder of the fight. No other members, just sitting there for almost an hour.
All right, your minute's up. So with that being said, now we're gonna vote on a resolution. Essentially, we're gonna divide this vote into, well, first off, if you're in favor of resolution involving sanctions, say aye.
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 In favor of sanctions? Aye.
Aye.
Sanctions.
Aye.
Sanctions as in not removal.
Aye.
Oh yeah.
If you're in favor of removal, say aye.
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 Okay, well, I heard demonstratingly less ayes for removal, but we're gonna bring it to a vote in the chat, so I'll be posting a vote, and you'll use that whether to do sanctions or removal, and then from there, the final vote on whether or not we are going to commit to sanction. Since we have to get things moving, we're gonna get this done quickly. All right. Hit the one you're more comfortable with. If you're not comfortable with either, then you do not
So,
have to vote.
can I just ask one question to War?
Go ahead.
So are you accepting that your members are using God mode, or still denying it, or you'll look into it, as you said?
I will look into it to see what they've
Fucking
recorded.
hell. Okay,
Test that.
removal for me.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, dude, you need to at least be honest.
You need
Well,
to
I'm
remove
being
your
Look, if
Yeah,
you
I'm
accepted
switching-
it, I would
I'm
say
switching
sanctions,
to
but the fact that you're denying it, I'm just gonna say straight removal.
Yeah,
I'm
will you remove
It's-
your members, or will you just keep looking into it?
I mean, I still will look into it. I'll see what my members
Okay,
know.
okay.
If
All right, vote
if
for
they
removal.
have, if there's any proof of them using God
I
mode, they would be
switched
immediately.
my vote.
If there's any proof, my dude, there's
Scroll
proof
up.
already. Don't
Yeah,
say if.
yeah. All right, well then, yes, I will take action against it.
You're gonna take. So
I think
I need you
Do
saying
you admit
yes.
it,
This is clear.
All right. Since the proof is a lot, I will admit it then. I'm still.
I think that's taken too long though for you
Yeah.
to admit
I'll
it.
go with
I think we
sanctions.
should remove
Here's
the
what
members
I'm
in
gonna
God
say.
mode.
Any progress is better than none, and you know what? A lot of people in this community, they value the loyalty of their members more than the representation that their crew has in the community. So the fact that he's willing to, in a way, you have to think about betraying his own members. I mean, you guys, some of us have the opinion that the members don't matter, that it's all about the crew reputation. You know, a lot of people are really close knit with their members and they don't want to feel like they're betraying them, but you have to make the hard decision. FRM, you're a leader, you have to make a hard decision. So, you know,
all the time.
you need to make that decision sooner than later in the future because you
Most
almost
definitely.
were voted out.
Zero, if it takes this long for him to make God mode, which is
Yeah, no,
what can
he's
get worse than
denied it.
this, like,
Okay,
honestly.
bear in mind to everyone here that he only admitted it after about 20 minutes of conversation, in which where evidence was presented originally. He only did this because he thinks that he's going to be able to stay in here for a little bit longer. He's joined 2 days ago, and he's already in God mode.
All right.
He might say that
Let's continue.
never said anything.
I'm trying to understand what.
I feel like
We're
you're
going to
only saying this
continue.
just to stay in the Discord.
Yeah, quite literally, and I think he's voted for. Yeah, he's got 2 people.
If I remember, if I may give my rebuttal, after I was talked over multiple times by many different crews, that is really hard to admit because I've never seen, like I said, I've never seen any of my members in God mode for almost a year now. Excuse me, I'm talking. I mean, you're kind of being really rude right now. I mean, you said multiple times to be respectful and professional. But like I said, I will admit it because you guys do have a lot of proof, and I respect that you have a lot of proof. I will take action against it. But it's really hard to admit because my crew has never, like I said, used God mode within a year.
All right. So now we're going to continue. We're done. We're done with this argument. All right. We're going to move on right now. The SATA resolution number 2 for the deployment of peacekeepers against FRM has been placed in the chat. And as I've described earlier, the mechanics of the peacekeepers volunteer force, unbiased, and the peacekeepers will be coordinating with personnel from both crews to ensure that the rules are being followed and that that battles are being properly monitored. In the future, there should be no battle between either of your crews that happens without a peacekeeper. So in the meantime, while we collect peacekeepers, it is not advisable to engage each other.
And FRM, I've decided to vote sanctions. If you make me look like a fool, you're gonna have bigger problems than DDPM.
Will you remove your members?
Yes, with proof of God mode, yes.
Okay, remove them. Once it's done, by the way, and get evidence, obviously.
And the peacekeepers, the whole goal of the peacekeepers is to make sure the rules are being corrected, that they're being followed. And
Zero, did you just come up with a random
peacekeepers-
number for that? Or is that an actual number?
No, 2019 and then 02. So it's the second one of this
What
year.
are the peacekeepers gonna
Okay.
do to keep the battles in line?
They'll be spectating them, watching them
No,
from
I'm saying,
inside of
like,
the lobby.
No, I'm saying like if someone breaks the rules, what are they gonna do to correct it?
Those peacekeepers also do need to stay in passive mode because I'd already dealt with a quote unquote peacekeeper
Well, I mean, they
blitzkrieg
can stay in
flying.
apartments.
That's
I
fine,
mean,
but I
if
had
they
I had a
Well, Blitz
peacekeeper
isn't
flying
a
around it.
peacekeeper, and
Cutter,
peacekeepers can't be in passive mode because certain crews rules prevent that, and it's a violation of the convention. So that's basically shooting ourselves in the foot right there.
alrighty, I agree with
If
that.
they're not
but
involved in the fight, they should be in passive because I'm
They should
not
not
gonna.
be. They should just be
Then
away
straight
from the
shot
battle
can
in a
be
facility.
used later.
I agree with that.
Peacekeepers can stay in facilities and apartments and be able to spectate that way.
That's fine. I just
Exactly what I'm saying. Thank you,
That's fine.
Isabel.
yeah, I'd rather not
These
have
peacekeepers
peacekeepers
will
and
not be on the
jets.
field. They will
No, but
not
I'm
be on the
saying
field. They will
zero.
be spectating.
I've got a question.
No, I'm
If
asking, what are the peacekeepers gonna do to like
The
correct
peacekeepers
something
are
that's
not going to shoot people for if that's what you're asking. They're not going to be shooting
okay? So
people.
they're gonna
They're
report
going
that
to if there's a
incident.
violation, the peacekeepers are going to coordinate with the proper personnel from each crew. And if things do not get better, then they will report it to Sato staff or the Security Council, and the Security Council will convene quickly
So it will be
to
directed back
see.
to Sato.
It'll go back to Sato. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
I'd like to note
So
that there's been some double voting on the sanctions.
Yeah, it's tied on the voting or
Norse
sanctions.
vote, and there's more double voting on sanctions. Than
Well, the sanctions were already voted on, and the final vote was 9-8. So if someone changed their vote, I mean, there's not much we can really do because we already moved past it.
Who decides the time limit on it? I didn't hear any. Clear.
We changed from phase 2 or from what was it, part 2 to part 3, and that right there solidified it.
there's 4 people who have voted, and 2 of them from the same crew.
Okay, David, can you say that again? You're like really far away from your mic.
There's 4 people that voted, and 2 people are from the same crew, so I don't know if that counts as a valid vote. And it would be more in the favour of removal if they were to be removed. As invalid votes, that is. Of course, that would also be.
I mean, you can argue the same thing for removal. There's multiple votes on either side.
Role of
I'm
a
cleaning them up
peacekeeper
right now.
is peacekeeper basically just looking out for I don't know, oppressor Mark IIs in the lobby.
Well, it's like obvious things like that, but they're gonna be on like apartment TVs, so they'll be going down the player list, and if a player has their thing disabled, the peacekeeper will message them like, "Hey, you need to turn on your spectate." Obviously, there's limitations, but peacekeepers are going to, we're gonna be taking up the least amount of space as possible, but providing oversight so that crews subconsciously and consciously know, hey, I'm being watched. I better watch my shit, And as well, peacekeepers, they'll be working with crews internally sometimes to make sure that the rules, like they'll be doing audits inside of crew discords to make sure the rules are posted, that, that the correct things are being followed. So, with all of that being said, and then yes, could one diplomat from each crew please vote? And we do not want multiple voting on the same side. With that being said, I'm willing to say that, that we'll see how this goes, and if things don't improve, then them getting removed later. We still want to give them that chance to improve, because one more crew following Sato regulations is one more crew that expands the influence of Sato, because that's what we want at the end of the day, is for this community to fight cleanly. If we're all tired of these oppressors, if we're all tired of all these, things, then, then what's the point? What's the point of even doing this if we're just going to, So with that being said, we're going to move on here in a second. Alright, I need to adjust some of the roles of people who've joined in a little bit late. Alright, so now the next agenda, and probably the easiest agenda of the conference, is going to be the conventions themselves. Our conventions, we do not plan on really changing them unless someone has an argument that they would like to make to request a change. I'll be posting the current document into the Discord, and I want to discuss a few what's it called? Few technicalities that you guys need to be made aware of. So does anyone have any objections, anything they'd like to add, anything like that to the current Los Santos conventions?
Give us a fucking minute to read it.
I'm sorry, I thought you were all well versed.
Well, we don't know if you made
Yeah,
any changes to it.
I was gonna say something
No,
about
I
that.
made no changes.
It's quite big, and say a lot of crew members I know, they just put the conventions in Discord, and for a member reading all that, it's a bit of effort. So I'd suggest maybe summarizing it into another document.
Yeah, you have to summarize it into another message, training, summarize it there again as well. I mean, that's what we do because there's a lot that people don't need to know. Like, lower enlisted don't need to know the technicalities behind declaring war. So you just have to summarize on your own.
Wait, hand grenades are not
Okay, so that's
permitted to
the crew leader's
use.
job.
Hand grenades are not permitted to use against light infantry. Isn't
No,
that?
they are. Sorry.
They are.
So with the wording, hand
Explosives
grenades are
that are
exempt.
explosives that are excluded: hand grenades, grenade launcher, proximity mine, sticky bombs, a homing launcher, and RPG. The homing
Let me
launcher and
double check
RPG
that.
are banned under these specifications. Okay, you need to word that perhaps differently, because it makes it seem like those are part of the same statement. You can't see what I'm highlighting, but it's explosives that are excluded.
Yeah, it says
Hand grenade,
excluded, which
grenade
implies that
launcher,
it's not. Which
proximity.
implies that it's not a part of the law.
But then it goes on to say the homing launcher and RPG.
Yes, but that doesn't. It's not in the same sentence. It doesn't clarify that it's excluded or not.
I'm just saying it looks confusing.
I mean, yeah, I do agree with you,
I
but
can adjust the wording.
I think you should just make a version that's better suited to just be easy to go over in Discord.
I do
Yeah, that's
agree
what I
with
was
that.
gonna say, because not a lot of crew leaders are
this-
willing to just summarize it.
This version is for the technical rules to make sure that they are there's no issues, but I will draft a new version to accommodate crews.
That, and on top of that, I've seen a lot of way young kids coming into this community, so a smaller version would be easier for them too.
All right, I have that done right now. Obviously, I can't do it. I can't type that up in 3 minutes, but I will have that
That's
done
fine.
this week. Anything else that you guys can think of? Because we're going to be doing signing of it.
It's weird. Some parts of this ruling may need to be changed following the next update. It's coming out.
Yep.
This
We are
week.
aware of that. So the idea is that after the update is released, we'll bring it to the Security Council chat. So we won't necessarily convene in a meeting like this one that we're doing right now, but we
Damn.
will put out a post that says add everyone, make, is there support for, banning this thing from the update. So
All of FCNF's in here. Hey guys. Just looking in the chat. Okay. Will we be allowed to vote on the changes that get made with this update as well?
yeah, so it will be like to add something to the conventions, it'll be brought to the Security Council, and then they'll vote a majority 2/3 to add something to the conventions. So everyone will get a chance to vote because there will be an extended time frame because it will be inside of the text channel in the Discord. I'm having some weird connection problems, so apologies in advance. Fire Friends, you should be able to speak now. Apologies for the wait.
Alright, we'll sign. I don't exactly agree with the BST one, though. I will state that. So everybody uses BST.
Well, I will say that if a crew in Sato levies it against you, then you will be found in contempt of the rules. Are you willing to do
Oh,
that?
yeah.
Because at the
Well,
end of the day, if you're willing to sign it, it means you're willing to follow all of them.
It's quite hard to submit evidence against BST.
not really.
Stronger sanctions.
Sure, I'll sign, but at the very first hint of them using BST or any other thing, you can expect us to start whooping that shit out. Also,
you
please
post-
spell our name correctly. You've spelt it wrong for the past 3 years. It's industry.
I thought it was
it's-
Trevor Phillips Industries.
No, definitely isn't.
It is corrected. So if none of the other crews here have any issues, do all of you agree to sign?
The armed forces of the United States will sign as well.
Do we get to
What
pick our own
is
font?
the crew name?
We pick a fancy font.
Yeah, not exactly, but if you send us your crew logo, we can put it next to the name.
Alright, I'll go ahead and do that.
And then we also want crew links as well. So
What do you mean fucking crew links? What does that mean?
for like the Charon crew link or
Charon.
whatever.
You mean our
The
social club?
Yep.
Here's your logo. It's posted in conference text. Well, I think it posted, but I'm not sure.
It's view only for me.
What is
Yep, that's
designated as
intentional.
an
We want you to tell us that you're signing so we can just add it.
What is designated as an explicit declaration of war? So do I have to go?
Alright, Discord thinks that my crew logo is a nude, so it's not letting me post it.
So, a reason declaration of war is, or explicit, I should say, is just going to be a post that informs the crew you're attacking
Can you
that you've
take off
declared war
slow
on
mode,
them.
please, so I can actually post my fucking logo?
I took it off.
It's on 2 minutes right now. I don't
Um,
think that's true.
I changed it.
Cutter,
Try
it'd be
clicking out
appreciated if
back
you
in.
wouldn't keep interrupting, David. Thank you.
And in terms of skirmishes and whatnot, would there still be sanctions put against crews that have
So if you do, like, if you're raiding a crew that you're already in a war with, then there's no issue. The declaration of war is at the beginning of a war, such as when your crews start fighting. Now, it doesn't have to be a declaration every time. It could be, because it says a reasoned declaration of war or what's the wording is? I'm trying to think.
There we go.
Okay, so yeah, optional or an ultimatum. So you could tell a crew, I will, if you do not give me your Olive Garden breadsticks, I will declare war on your crew. And then they do not give you their Olive Garden breadsticks, and you go and attack them. That is reasonable.
That's reasonable?
Yeah.
What about the pizza rolls?
Well, those are, I'd declare war for some of those too. But
Hey, is that Ronan?
I want to.
Hey,
I want to see what
my voice.
signatures we can get on here. So we have United Armed Forces, United States.
I love Ronan.
And then
VCAP, will you be signing?
Okay. I don't know if he can speak.
Yeah, DD will be signing.
No, we cannot. But hi anyway, Ronan.
FRM, will you be signing?
Yes.
Excel, will you be signing?
Yes.
Can I also ask, what's the name of your crew?
It is XL Private Military.
Thank you. Fire Knight, will you be signing?
Sorry, wait, what?
Will you be signing the conventions?
As like to go by rules and stuff. Crew.
You know, the thing
Yes.
we've been talking about for 15 minutes.
Yeah. I know, I've
15,
been trying
motherfucker. It's been like an hour.
I've been trying to. I'm trying to do what's going on Xbox at the moment. Yeah.
Hour and a half.
All right,
Jesus
what's the name of
Christ.
your crew?
My crew. That's not my crew, but I'm technically second in command.
Okay, great. Can I get a name?
Tactical Armed Forces.
Thank you.
0.
Yes.
Armed Forces US will be signing too. I don't know.
Oh, is it
Yeah.
Armed
so it's
Forces
Armed
US?
Forces US.
Yes, Armed Forces US.
Right. SCOM, will you guys be signing?
Hello?
Equalize.
Hello.
Will you be signing?
Yeah.
All right, and the name of your crew is just like, what is it?
I'll DM it you.
All right, thank you. USSF Meme Lord 696969. Will you be signing?
I've been gone for the last 15 minutes. Can I just get a quick thing of what I'm signing?
Jesus.
Just make it just a quick rundown. I don't need to know all of it.
The Los Angeles Conventions is a rule book that was posted in the conference chat. Do you
Yeah, that's what
agree
I've been
to
reading. Yeah, I'll be signing.
Okay, and what's the name of your crew?
USSF,
Okay, but what does that stand for?
United States Special Forces.
Thank you. LSDF, will you guys be signing?
Can you guys hear me yet?
Most likely.
We can hear whoever said that.
Ah. Hi, Frenzy Running.
All right, LSDF, are you guys there?
Yep.
All right, will you guys be signing?
Yes.
Cool. I don't know where Atlas went, but I guess they aren't signing. Nice.
The fuck?
All right, so I'm just gonna read off the crews. If I missed your crew, please state it. Charon Industry, Fleetcom Naval Force, Strikecom Defense Force, Armed Forces U.S., the Ronin Legion, Diamond Dogs Private Military, XL Private Military, Tactical Armed Forces, United States Special Forces, Special Operative Command, and Los Santos Defense Forces.
Wait, LSDF?
Yes.
I believe you missed FRM.
I've got a
Oh, I
question
have you
about-
guys here. I guess I just didn't read it. But yeah, Freedom Military is on there.
And has this conference been recorded?
That's a zero question.
I was unable to get my ability to record working, so no. But you are all here witness to the events that have transpired tonight and today.
Is anyone from Boulevard still in here?